Welcome to Candid Confessions, powered by sudeepaudio.com.
Hi, I'm Shantanu Hudlikar. I am a sound engineer. Today, I am going to just give you some quick bits of advice or it's not even advice, it's my experiences as to how I've dealt with certain situations. I talk about my experience working with experienced artists, sometimes working with stars. Uh, lot of times, you come across situations where you have to work with debutant artists. So, how does one work with debutant artists? Because as an engineer, you expect everyone to hold the same standards as yourself, but you will, have debutants coming in who are complete novices, and it's as important to keep a star happy as it is to keep a debutant happy, because a star will also be nervous coming in to the studio, even though it's his or her thousandth time performing or in the studio. It's as important because the debutant is more nervous than anything else, because he is come into the studio with all these expectations. He's come into the studio, all these senior people around. He is extremely intimidated. I'm sorry, I keep saying he, but I mean the artist, without any gender. It could be a lady as well, could be a child, could be a senior citizen, could be anyone. I've recorded dogs and cats as well, you know, uh, and I don't mean this as a joke, because I have had to, because there are certain times when we had to capture sound effects and things like that. So you had to bring live animals into the studio or go into location and record live animals. Anyway, that's besides the point. Coming back to a debutant artist, you know, the artist walking in, he's got so many pressures on himself, and how your biggest job as a sound engineer at that point of time is in public relations. Make the artist feel comfortable. Since you're the senior person over here and I'm the senior person, it's my job to actually mentor and be a father figure to the artist who's coming in. Make him or her feel comfortable with what they're about. They're, as it is, being intimidated with what they're having to do. Then they're walking into a studio with all these people around. So my first bit of advice, whether the artist is coming into the studio or going on stage for the first time, is to make the artist at ease. So I literally sit the artist down and start talking to them about themselves, about their families, about their likes and dislikes, what food they like to eat, taking their mind off everything. आई एम नॉट ट्राइंग टू बम्बार्ड हिम लाइक कि मैंने इनके साथ काम किया है और आपको ये टेक्निक यूज करना है और आप ऐसा करो. आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग टेक्नोलॉजी एट ऑल. आई एम टॉकिंग जनरल life stuff. How are you? Which school did you go to? What college did you go to? Where have you worked before? How come you've come over here? What about your family? Etc. etc. I get that person to open up. So what I'm trying to do over here is I'm trying to gain the trust of that particular artist. And what am I doing by gaining that trust? Is just to make that person feel comfortable. So the moment that artist starts feeling comfortable, I know that it's going to be easier to get a performance out of that artist. I never tell a debutant artist the way he or she should be singing. I never ever tell them what to do, because I want them to maintain their natural abilities. Now, don't forget, this is the first time for them being in that studio. The more bombardment of information I'm going to get is like taking them away from their instincts. Their instincts is actually what has got them to be recognized, which has brought them into the studio in the first place. So I don't want to shatter that same thing, which is the reason why I've got them over there. So, it's a very tricky situation, but so let them make the mistakes. Automatically, the moment they start realizing that they are mistakes, they will start correcting themselves. So the idea is like, let's say she has been singing live audience. So they're used to holding the microphone in their hand. Okay, they're used to, moving around, and if it's a girl, you can probably hear the jewelry and things like that, which you don't want in a studio recording. You cannot have the singer in the studio holding the microphone, because you're not using handheld microphones, you're using probably some condenser microphone and all this kind. So they can't be doing that. So that in itself is an adjustment for the artist, which they will find out, they will get to learn. Then in front of them, it will be on pop filter. They're not used to singing with a pop filter in front of them. They have no idea as to how close to the mic they need to be and how far away, all those kind of things. So that happens through the period of the song. Now I'm talking debut again. That artist comes in, I will say like, okay, it's literally this way. I'm talking to the artist, it's like, okay, now I've gotten friendly with them, they're comfortable. I have asked everybody in the room to leave. It's just the artist and me while I'm doing a sound check. Everyone, even the music director is out in a film situation. Even the music director is out of it. And I have got the artist over there, and I have played the song to which the artist is going to playback sing for. And I'll ask, can you hear everything nicely? He said, yes, I can hear everything nicely. Okay. Is there anything more that you would like to hear or less you would like to hear? There is this one particular thing, I would like to hear less of it. He said, okay. He said, now I want you to sing the song that you're supposed to be singing. Doesn't matter if you don't have the lyrics right or you don't know the words by heart. Just sing the melody. See if you can hear yourself. Can you hear yourself? No, I can't really hear myself. He said, okay, what would you like? Would you like it to be louder, or would you like it to be brighter, or would you like to hear it with some reverb or with some delay, etc., etc.? Do all these things. He said like, yeah, now I am fine. He said, okay, now you're fine, but now let me tell you something. Whatever you're hearing on the headphones, it's too loud because the microphone is picking up the headphone bleed. Now that is something that the artist has not taken into consideration, which is now I have to take that into consideration. So I have to tell him, listen, this is what is happening. So now you need to start adjusting, because overall I'm going to bring everything, make it softer, which means to hear yourself, you might have to sing louder. If you sing louder, the chances of you pitching slightly sharp. So what should we do? So he said, let you hear yourself slightly louder than the rest of the track, and start imagining the tempo without actually having to hear the beat. So this is a learning process where you have your own body clock, which your body clock then becomes part of your system, which is then helps you to become a better artist over there. So I get all of that right, and now the artist is comfortable, which is when I call in the music director. Music directors come in. Music director is also happy now because he's hearing everything the way it should be heard. He's gone away with that, he's not been there during the sound check process and all this kind of stuff. He is also impatient person. Most music directors are impatient, want to get started off with. Then the clients are there, everyone is there, producer is there, director is there, all those kind of things. We start singing, and then slowly, if I find something wrong, because now that artist is purely singing with all his instincts, all the way he's known before. And during the process, I will start telling him, okay, when you're singing these kind of words, you need to be careful because you're getting blows. Or when you're saying these kind of words, things are getting too sibilant. When you're singing with this kind of throw, you need to be able to modulate your voice by, or move position of your head slightly back, or if it's like a whispered part, you come in slightly forward, because I want to capture an emotion. I don't want to correct things with volume control, okay? Because I'm the old-fashioned engineer who has a fader, hand on his fader, and if I find something soft, I will actually raise the fader because I already know the song. So I know where you're going to be singing soft. So at that point of time, I will raise the fader so to have levels ready. and I have, so it makes the mix process that much easier. So this is a learning process that takes place, and all this actually then leads to the experience of the singer, who then second recording that he goes to or she goes to any other studio already has learnt something for the first process. The second recording learnt more. After 20, 30 recordings, 50 recordings, they become pros. So the process is the same. It's just that when you're working with the experienced artist, you already know. That's when the experienced artist, and you are working with them for the first time, they teach you. With the debutant artist, when you are the experienced person, you teach them. So there is always, in our world, there's always give and take. Always give and take, and never ever be afraid to give. Because what you give, you will always get back in return.
जो मैंने सीखा वो आप भी सीखो. Do subscribe to this podcast and stay tuned.